Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. God's blessings upon you. Let's praise the Lord together, my friends. We have all awakened in God's shelter. Now we've come to praise His name together. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land. Hello, the folks in the Zoom stream. I'm glad to see all of you. And here we are. I don't know how the weather is where you are, but where I am, it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sunny day. Not too hot either. It's nice and cool out there for now. It's probably going to get quite a bit warmer out there. Hey there, Cambees. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And good
Wonderful
morning,
to see you.
E.T. I'm okay. We'll have a
Hola,
pity
Paul.
party. How you doing, Dee?
Good, thank you.
That's good. And good morning, Farah. How are you? She's got herself muted too.
Super, thank you.
Okay. And you ought to know, Tara, and I'm going to ask how you're doing. You just as well have me. She's just waving. Hope everybody's doing well. As you can see, here I am again. I don't know if anyone's going to just pop in, after this is all over. If you've never joined us for our Sunday morning devotions, this is coming to you through the clearwaterbaha'is.org website, clearwaterbaha'is.org. We've been doing this for over a year because we started when the pandemic lockdown began. And at this point, we're going to keep doing it. There may be some changes in the future. We don't know exactly, of course, now that things are opening up and so forth, we do have a local Baha'i Center. There are some questions as to whether we should open it up or not. And the overseeing governing body is kind of weighing that. We do want to be safe. As you know, nationally, the numbers of new cases are going down, and yet it's still not 100% safe out there. As you know, they also lowered it for those people that are fully vaccinated. They're saying we don't even need masks and so forth when we go out. But everyone's not vaccinated. So we, of course, have to still keep that in mind. What we're going to be doing this morning, well, you know what, before we talk about this morning, I do want to say something about last week's program, and I did not turn off the notifications for my computer here. I'm not going to take time to do it now either. So every time, I don't know if you're hearing that, you're going to be hearing that every once in a while because I'm not going to take time to turn that off. But last week's program, which went well, but for the people in Facebook land, as I call it, I always share that program, the video, afterwards. We share the live Facebook stream afterwards. And I always do that like clockwork. I could say I don't know what happened. I know what happened. I don't know why it happened. I accidentally, and I'm ashamed to say this, I accidentally deleted the program last week. And I tried to get it back, but apparently delete really means really gone. And so when I tried to get it back, I just couldn't. Now, the Zoom version of it, I believe that's posted on the Clearwater website. But I always like to share the Facebook stream version on it. And unfortunately, it's gone. I even thought about kind of doing an abbreviated version of it, but I just decided maybe some other time. Let's go ahead and start with a prayer for today. Oh God, oh my God, aid thou thy servant to raise up the word and to refute what is vain and false, to establish the truth, to spread the sacred verses abroad, reveal the splendors, and make the morning's light to dawn in the hearts of the righteous. Thou art verily the generous, the forgiving. Now, as usual, we are taking today's program from Baha'u'llah's teachings on spiritual reality. There you go again, Baha'u'llah's teachings on spiritual reality. I know that I've looked at it afterwards and it usually comes up backwards, and well, there's nothing I can do about that, but that's the book, Baha'u'llah's teachings on spiritual reality. And today's topic, extremely interesting. I think they're all interesting, but extremely interesting. Today's topic is true religion. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, Nini. Nini unfortunately can't be with us today. I see them on the Facebook stream. Is true religion. And I want to go ahead and give a little caveat here. As most people know, if you've been joining us, this is coming from a Baha'i website. I am a Baha'i. Daryl, who is usually here, is Baha'i. Nini is Christian. Most of the people that join us are Baha'is. And we do have people of other faiths that join us, because a basic Baha'i tenet is that all of the divinely revealed religions are all part of one faith, the ongoing faith in God. So when we talk about true religion, I think it's important to point out that we're not, I'll say Abdul Baha, in nowhere in today's passages says that Baha'i faith is true religion. But he does talk about the attributes of true religion. Hi, Sheila, how are you? I see you there. The attributes of true religion and what true religion should consist of, and what should the results of true religion be. He also talks about basically if the results of religion are not good, then what should be the reaction to that? So let's go ahead and begin. Again, our topic today, coming from Baha'u'llah's teachings on spiritual reality, is true religion. And it's chapter 4, I believe I said that. So let's begin. The religions, and this is coming from the Universal House of Justice, the religions brought to mankind by a succession of spiritual luminaries have been the primary link between humanity and that ultimate reality, and have galvanized, and I have to take my glasses off here, I'm sorry, and have galvanized and refined mankind's capacity to achieve spiritual success together with social progress. I know that we often repeat a lot of things, and this one I think bears repeating. The religions brought to mankind by a succession of spiritual luminaries. This succession of spiritual luminaries, these are figures that we usually refer to as manifestations of God. Other people often just call them prophets. By a succession of spiritual luminaries that have been the primary link between humanity and that ultimate reality. That's what primarily links us to God and that ultimate reality, and have galvanized and refined mankind's capacity to achieve spiritual success together with social progress. Not just spiritual growth, spiritual success with social progress. So this is real. We're talking about practical outcomes. To go on, it is certain, and this is coming from Abdul Baha, it is certain that the greatest of instrumentalities for achieving the advancement and the glory of man, the supreme agency for the enlightenment and the redemption of the world is love and fellowship and unity among all the members of the human race. Greatest of instrumentalities for achieving the advancement and the glory of man, the supreme agency for the enlightenment and the redemption of the world is love and fellowship and unity among all the members of the human race. In other words, Abdul Baha here is saying, if we're going to move forward, if we're going to be all that we can be as God's creation, well, then there has to be love, there has to be fellowship, there has to be unity among all the members of the human race. He goes on to say, nothing can be affected in the world, not even conceivably, without unity and agreement. And here's the kicker. And the perfect means for engendering fellowship and union is true religion. The perfect means for engendering fellowship and union is true religion. He goes on. An essential principle of Baha'u'llah's teachings is that religion must be the cause of unity and love amongst men. Religion must be the cause of unity and love amongst men. That it is the supreme effulgence of divinity, the stimulus of life, the source of honor, and productive of eternal existence. So when we're talking about, living forever or, that afterlife, whatever we want to refer to it as, yes, religion gives us, should bring that about for us, but there's more than that. He has that list of things. The supreme effulgence of divinity, the stimulus of life, the source of honor, and productive of eternal existence. He goes on to say, let me see if I can turn this off. Hang on. I'm afraid to touch anything because I'm afraid I'm going to leave this screen, so I'm going to leave it alone. He goes on to say, religion is not intended. He tells us what it's not intended to do. Religion is not intended to arouse enmity and hatred, nor to become the source of tyranny and injustice. Religion is not intended to arouse enmity and hatred, nor to become the source of tyranny and injustice. Then he says, should it prove to be the cause of hostility, discord, and the alienation of mankind, assuredly, the absence of religion would be preferable. If it's the cause of hostility and discord, alienation, we're better off with no religion. Religious teachings, he goes on, are like a course of treatment. Religious teachings are like a course of treatment, having for its purpose the cure and healing of mankind. Treatment, having for its purpose the cure and healing of mankind. And then to go on, he really adds more to it. He says, if the only outcome of a course of treatment should be mere diagnosis and fruitless discussion of symptoms, it would be better to abandon and abolish it. We all have had, well, I shouldn't say we all, but some of us, I'm sure, have had those situations where we have a physical problem, a health issue. We go to some kind of medical practitioner and we can talk about it, but they don't give us anything sometimes to help us solve the problem. And that can be very frustrating. Well, imagine religion that is the same way. Discussion of symptoms, fruitless discussion of symptoms, just mere diagnosis, fruitless discussion of symptoms. He says it would be better to abandon and abolish it. In this sense, the absence of religion would be at least some progress towards unity. In other words, if religion doesn't even do anything but cause problems and trouble, you're better off without it. But of course, Abdul Baha is not espousing not having religion. He's saying if religion isn't doing something good, then we're better off without it. Furthermore, religion must conform to reason. Religion must conform to reason and be in accord with the conclusions of science. Wow. Religion must conform to reason and be in accord with the conclusions of science. Notice he says with the conclusions of science. Even science is it has to go through searching. For religion, reason, and science are realities. For religion, reason, and science are realities. Therefore, these three being realities must conform and be reconciled: religion, reason, and science. A question or principle which is religious in its nature must be sanctioned by science. Science must declare it to be valid, and reason must confirm it in order that it may inspire confidence. I know I'm probably taking too many pauses here, and I have read this, but I just feel this is so profound, in a world with a history of practicing religion in ways that do more harm than good in many cases, at many times, and where clearly the views of those people who were open practitioners of religion often were at odds with science. Science must declare it to be valid, and reason must confirm it in order that it may inspire confidence. If religious teaching, however, be at variance with science and reason, it is unquestionably superstition. If religious teaching, however, be at variance with science and religion, if religious teachings, however, be at variance with science and reason, it is unquestionably superstition. The Lord of mankind, Abdu'l-Baha goes on to say, the Lord of mankind has bestowed upon us the faculty of reason, whereby we may discern the realities of things. How then can man rightfully accept any proposition which is not in conformity with the processes of reason and the principles of science? Assuredly, such a course cannot inspire man with confidence and real belief. So he differentiates between religion based on science and reason, or at least that agrees with science and reason, and superstition. Abdu'l-Baha goes on to say, religion is the light of the world, and the progress, achievement, and happiness of man result from obedience to the laws set down in the holy books. I'll say that again. Religion is the light of the world, and the progress, achievement, and happiness of men result from obedience to the laws set down in the holy books. Briefly, it is demonstrable that in this life, both outwardly and inwardly, the mightiest of structures, the most solidly established, the most enduring, standing guard over the world, assuring both the spiritual and the material perfections of mankind and protecting the happiness and the civilization of society, is religion. Now, that's a long statement, but it's a very profound statement. It is demonstrable that in this life, both outwardly and inwardly, the mightiest of structures, the most solidly established, the most enduring, standing guard over the world, assuring both the spiritual and the material perfections of mankind, and protecting the happiness and the civilization of society, is religion. You know what? I'm going to take a moment out and maybe just have a song. I don't know how you feel about this, but I do want you to know that as we move on, I already know that in the way that this is being put forth at this time, I'm sure there are plenty of people who may be thinking that, wait a minute, and I'm sure you've probably been a part of, shall we say, discussions that if we were talking about spiritual principles, talking about religion, there are those people that have often said that have said that religion has caused more problems in the world than it's solved. And I think it's easy to understand how they may feel that way. There's something not right about my guitar here. I don't mean to dwell on this too long, but I can't start a song. Maybe I should just change songs. I can't start a song that I know is not in the right key. Sun is rising on a new day, shedding light across the land. The Father's showing us the right way to take His love to all of man. But some keep fighting, some keep killing, shedding blood around the world. But keep believing, keep on praying. Soon God's kingdom will be unfurled. 'Cause all we want is peace high on every mountain, peace down in every valley, flowing like a river may it never cease. All we want is peace. Hear the sounds of children crying, hear the mothers and the fathers weep. See them bury their sons and daughters, see their pain that goes so deep. How'd we ever come to this place? We all know a better way. We can put a smile on God's face and start a brand new day. 'Cause all we want is peace high on every mountain, peace down in every valley, flowing like a river may it never cease. All we want is peace, red, yellow, brown, black and white. Mother, father, sister, brother, rich and poor, captive and free. All we want is peace for every Muslim, every Christian, every Jew and Zoroastrian, for every Buddhist, Baha'i and Hindu, every child of God. There's a way we can live as one. Take every rocket, every rifle, every weapon, melt them down, then build the plowshares to feed the hungry till no more hunger can be found. 'Cause all we want is peace high on every mountain, peace down in every valley, flowing like a river may it never cease. All we want is peace. All we want is peace. All we want is peace. chord I was looking for earlier. I always like to come back to All We Want Is Peace. To me, it's always appropriate. And if for some reason I have a senior moment, that's usually the song you're going to hear. Now, again, we're reading from Baha'u'llah's teachings on spiritual reality, and we're talking about true religion. But then the question comes up, I'm sure in some people's minds, well, wait a minute, if religion is supposed to be all these good things, why have there been so many, bad things that have happened that can be attributed to people's religious beliefs? Well, here's what Abdu'l-Baha says. It is true that there are foolish individuals who have never properly examined the fundamentals of the divine religions. I'm going to start that again. It is true that there are foolish individuals who have never properly examined the fundamentals of the divine religions, who have taken as their criterion the behavior of a few religious hypocrites and measured all religious persons by that yardstick. Measuring everyone by the worst example that you know. Measured all religious persons by that yardstick and have on this account concluded that religions are an obstacle to progress, a divisive factor, and a cause of malevolence and enmity among peoples. And we all know that there are very recent events that seem to attest to that. They have not even observed this much, that the principles of the divine religions can hardly be evaluated by the acts of those who only claim to follow them. That's a pretty big chunk to reread, but I think it's very important. It is true that there are foolish individuals who have never properly examined the fundamentals of the divine religions, who have taken as their criterion the behavior of a few religious hypocrites and measured all religious persons by that yardstick, and have on this account concluded that religions are an obstacle to progress, a divisive factor, and a cause of malevolence and enmity among peoples. They have not even observed this much, that the principles of the divine religions can hardly be evaluated by the acts of those who only claim to follow them. And then he goes on to say, for every excellent thing, peerless though it may be, can still be diverted to the wrong ends. Even religion can be used in the wrong way. For every excellent thing, peerless though it may be, can still be diverted to the wrong ends. A lighted lamp, I love this example, a lighted lamp in the hands of an ignorant child or of the blind will not dispel the surrounding darkness nor light up the house. It will set both the bearer and the house on fire. Can we, in such an instance, blame the lamp? No. By the Lord God, he says, to the seeing, a lamp is a guide and will show him his path, but it is a disaster to the blind. So again, we have to be careful, or those of you that would look at religion and say that, religion has caused more problems than good. Again, first of all, you shouldn't brush with such a wide stroke, but secondly, you have to take into account, what example am I reaching that conclusion by? Who is it that I'm looking at? Who is it that I'm using as my measuring rod? Abdu'l-Baha goes on to say, true religion is the source of love and agreement amongst men, the cause of the development of praiseworthy qualities. But the people are holding to the counterfeit and imitation. The people are holding to the counterfeit and imitation, negligent of the reality which unifies. So they are bereft and deprived of the radiance of religion. They follow superstitions inherited from their fathers and ancestors. To such an extent has this prevailed that they have taken away the heavenly light of divine truth and sit in the darkness of imitations and imaginations. That which was meant to be conducive to life has become the cause of death. And that which should have been an evidence of knowledge is now a proof of ignorance. That which was a factor in the sublimity of human nature has proved to be its degradation. I think we need to put that on a billboard. But you have to have all those qualifiers and put it in the right context. Because this is not about, this obviously, Abdu'l-Baha is not saying that religion is bad. He's saying people take it and use it in a bad way, or they follow superstitions and old traditions that no longer apply. They have perverted religion. Therefore, the realm of the religionist has gradually narrowed and darkened, and the sphere of the materialist has widened and advanced. Wow. I'm going to say that again. Therefore, again, this is coming from Abdu'l-Baha. Therefore, the realm of the religionist has gradually narrowed and darkened, and the sphere of the materialist has widened and advanced, and the religionist has held to imitation and counterfeit, neglecting and discarding holiness and the sacred reality of religion. If you're not aware, I mean, obviously, there are still many people around the globe that practice religion. Christianity at this time is still the most widely practiced faith as far as numbers of adherents. Islam, frankly, is the fastest growing faith, according to a source I was reading earlier. The Baha'i faith, while in the full world of all people that espouse a particular religion, we're rather small. However, the Baha'i faith is practiced more in more different places on earth than any other faith. Its people are more widely scattered and so forth. And so we always like to point out that it is the most widely practiced faith, not in numbers of adherents, but in places that it exists. And yet, again, when we're talking about, in general, people who practice or adhere to a particular faith, you have to wonder, who is the example that I'm looking at when I am reaching conclusions about whether religion is a good thing or a bad thing? You have to make sure that you are looking at the right example. Abdu'l-Baha goes on to say, our purpose is to show how true religion promotes the civilization and honor, the prosperity and prestige, the learning and advancement of a people once abject, enslaved, and ignorant, and how, when it falls into the hands of religious leaders who are foolish and fanatical, it is diverted to the wrong ends, until this greatest of splendors turns into blackest night. So this is an upliftment of religion, but an indictment of those who would take religion and pervert it to their own selfish ends. I feel like reading that again. Our purpose is to show, because there's a reason for talking about these things. Let's face it, they're not terribly pleasant. When we talk about how religion has been misused, when we talk about how people will look at some of the worst examples and reach far-flung conclusions about religion. He says, our purpose is to show how true religion promotes the civilization and honor, the prosperity and prestige, the learning and advancement of a people once abject, enslaved, and ignorant. And how, when it falls into the hands of religious leaders who are foolish and fanatical, it is diverted to the wrong ends, until this greatest of splendors turns into blackest night. And finally, this is our last passage for today. Abdu'l-Baha finally says The different religions have one truth underlying them. Therefore, their reality is one. The different religions have one truth underlying them. Therefore, their reality is one. In brief, every one of the divine religions, and I'm emphasizing the word divine because we all know that, there are those religions that might not have come from a divine source. In brief, every one of the divine religions contains essential ordinances which are not subject to change. Essential ordinances which are not subject to change. Emphasis on the word essential. Essential ordinances which are not subject to change, and material ordinances which are abrogated according to the exigencies of time. So there are those eternal spiritual laws. Those are the essential ordinances. Now, in Baha'i circles, we often call what Abdul-Baha refers to as material ordinances. We often call them social laws. And social laws do change based on, as he said, the exigencies of time. What are the needs of the people of today? And so when we see differences from one faith to another, the differences are based on the differences in social conditions. What are the needs of the people at that time? But he goes on to say, after giving that explanation as to why certain laws are eternal and some change over time, he goes on to say, but the people of the world have forsaken the divine teachings and followed forms and imitations of the truth. Inasmuch as these human interpretations and superstitions differ, dissensions and bigotry have arisen, and strife and warfare have prevailed. Inasmuch as these human interpretations and superstitions differ, dissensions and bigotry have arisen, and strife and warfare have prevailed. What is to be our response to all of this? It is to investigate. One of the precepts of the Baha'i faith is independent investigation of the truth. Many people who were not raised in the Baha'i tradition come to the faith through investigation. And it's not an easy process. For some it may be, but for many it isn't. Because for at least a while, for some of us, there is this what you might call cognitive dissonance, where what you previously believed or thought doesn't jive well with what you may be reading, what you may be discovering. And yet it is through that independent investigation that you come to the truth. By investigating the truth or foundation of reality underlying their own and other beliefs, all would be united and agreed. For this reality is one. It is not multiple and not divisible. That's the last line, but I'm going to repeat it. In fact, I'll repeat both those sentences. But the people of the world have forsaken the divine teachings and followed forms and imitations of the truth. Inasmuch as these human interpretations and superstitions differ, dissensions and bigotry have arisen, and strife and warfare have prevailed. By investigating the truth or foundation of reality underlying their own and other beliefs. So this isn't just to again, confirm your own bias. He says, by investigating the truth or foundation of reality underlying their own and other beliefs, all would be united and agreed. For this reality is one. It is not multiple and not divisible. We're going to take a moment out and have another prayer. O God, my God, aid thou thy trusted servants to have loving and tender hearts. Help them to spread amongst all the nations of the earth the light of guidance that cometh from the company on high. Verily, thou art the strong, the powerful, the mighty, the all-subduing, the ever-forgiving. Verily, thou art the generous, the gentle, the tender, the most bountiful. And this is a prayer from Abdu'l-Baha. And again, for anyone who may be joining us for the first time, this is a community effort. It's been going on again since at the beginning of the pandemic lockdown. And it is a group community effort from the clearwaterbaha'is.org. From Clearwater Bahá'ís, general Bahá'ís generally in the Tampa Bay Tampa Bay area. So normally we have Daryl and Nini, even though Nini comes up from South Florida. There are some definitive websites that you can go to learn more about the Baha'i faith. One is Baha'i.us, www.baha'i.us, www.baha'i.org, and www.clearwaterbaha'is.org. And I feel it's important that we point that out. We're getting ready to go ahead and have some prayers, but I feel it's important that we point that out because if we're talking about independently investigating truth, then I think it's good to tell people where at least they can begin. Certainly you're not limited to Baha'i websites. But if you are interested in learning more about the Baha'i faith, there are so many different websites online. But the websites I've given you are authoritative websites as far as on the global scale. We're talking Clearwater Bahá'ís. We're talking Baha'i.us and Baha'i.org. And locally, it's clearwaterbaha'is.org. But at this time, we're going to go ahead and have some prayers. And as usual, we'd like to start with our Kambiz moment. Kambiz, you have something to share with us?
Sure. It's a Persian prayer, how we can be close to God. والله ای طالب حق دیده را از حجبات اوهام و احزاب پاک و مبرا فرما تا به عین یقین نور مبین مشاهده فرمایی و به مقام حق یقین پی بری و به گوش و هوش آهنگ ملأ اعلی استماع کنی سبوح قدوس رب الملائکة و الروح بساط این خاکدان فانی انقریب برچیده گردد
و پس باید در فکر عزت و حشمت جاودانی بود. ابواب رحمت مفتوح و قلوب مظاهر محبت مشروع. انوار عرفان ساطع و لامع و فیض رحمان دائم و فائز به نمی السالکین الشاربین من سبا معرفت الله.
لبان خداوند مهربان، ما گناهکاریم و تو مرزگار، ما توهکاریم و تو عفو و غفار. هرچند موج گناه اوج گرفته است، ولی به عفو و غفرانت معتمدیم. و هرچند سیل عصیان در نهایت طغیان است، ولی به بخشش و احسانت متوسلیم. ای خدای پر عطا خطا بپوش، دریای رحمت به جوش آور و جام مغفرت بنوشان. هرچند ظلمت ذنوب شدید است، ولی مه تابان مغفرتت بس منیب. ای خداوند این مستمن را در ایوان بلند جای ده و ارجمند فرما و در فلک غفران اختر تابان کن و در سایه درخت امید مسکن و مأوای بخش به غفور و توانای.